Hi, this is Melanie Lakosovic. I'm the executive editor with Capital Region Independent Media. We publish the Greenville Pioneer, the Ravenna News Herald, and a series of community guidebooks that you can find around the communities that we cover. I'm here today with Assemblyman Chris Tague. He covers the 102nd Assembly District, and with our president and company owner, Mark Vinciguerra. So we would like to talk to Mr. Tague about his candidacy and what he hopes to accomplish in the 102nd District. Can you first give us your background?
Sure. I was born and raised in Schoharie. I was a dairy farmer. Sold my cows in 1993, and I went to work for Cobusco Stone Products, where I worked my way from a laborer up to the general manager of the company. And when I was elected in a special election for the state assembly in April of 2018, I retired my position at Cobusco Stone. So I do this, full time. Graduated from Schoharie Central School right here in the village of Schoharie. Again, I was until last session the only BOCES graduate to be elected to either house of the state legislature. I was in ag mechanics. I graduated from BOCES in ag mechanics back in 1987. And, my main reason, listen, I had a very successful career. I did very well for myself, my family. I was just fed up with what was going on in our state and felt that rural upstate New York has been underserved, and their voices weren't heard. And I decided that to complain and to have the opportunity to complain, that I needed to do something about it. So I decided to run for the assembly, and of course I was successful. And that's been my main thing, is making sure that rural upstate New York has a voice, has a seat at the table.
So how many years have you been in office?
Well, a little over, I guess about 4.5. I went in April of 2018. So I'm actually running for my 4th term, but really my 3rd full term. I finished Pete Lopez's term in 2018. I was in session for 2 months, I believe it was, the end of session of 2018, and then of course 19, 20, 21, and 22. So 5 sessions, and but 3 full terms and four terms if you count the special, the special election.
And what's been your most proud accomplishment during that time?
I think agriculture. I am the ranking member on the state Assembly Committee on Agriculture. And I think, during the COVID crisis, a lot of this information that I put together at a bill out of my farm resiliency and food insecurity program ended up being what we now call the Nourish New York program. Also the fact that I've been fighting hard to get whole milk put back in our schools. That's another area. Our leader Barkley and I are co-sponsors of the Inflation Reduction Plan, which will help our small business, help our communities, help our senior citizens. But probably the biggest thing is realizing that a lot of our suburban and city members in the state assembly, and the Senate for that matter, are not familiar with rural upstate New York, nor how important agriculture is. I've done my farm tour. This year was our 5th farm tour that we did. And I bring state senators and state assemblymen from across the state to our farm tour. It's a 2-day tour. We include 4-H'ers, folks from FFA, local farm bureaus, plus state farm bureau, agribusinesses folks. This year we had Cornell involved. We do everything we can to get folks involved to understand how important agriculture is. A lot of folks don't realize it. There's one thing that you cannot live without. It's food. You will not live if you don't eat. And we had some food insecurity problems in the state during COVID. And we learned some lessons. And You know, the Farm Labor Wage Board decision is another perfect example of an ill-advised program. And what's shocking is that the lieutenant governor was actually against it. I have never heard the commissioner of agriculture be in favor of it, but the governor and the labor commissioner still went ahead and put this ill-advised plan in place. Now, many of the folks that were supportive of it in the majority from the city, from New York City, have since changed their mind. And a lot of them tell me it's because they went on my farm tour and they spoke to the farmers personally. And now they get it. They understand it. Unfortunately, we live in a political world. And to be quite frank, this is just a play by big New York City labor making a deal with the governor. And I don't understand why they're continuing through this. This is going to be a 42% increase on farm labor for our local farmers. And by the way, 73% of those that testified in the hearings, including myself, were dead set against this. And that included farm workers themselves that say, if you put this bill into effect, we are going to move out of the state. We're going to go to states that don't have these laws where we can earn what we need to earn. A lot of them send their money home to their families. A lot of these folks have been working at the same farm as much as 27 years. There's a gentleman that we were at Stanton Farms. We had a press conference there. It's been a couple months now. One of the farm workers has worked for a farm in Albany County for 27 years, and they're devastated. So, I think other things to talk about accomplishments is, people told me when I ran, oh, you're going to be in the minority, you'll never be able to get anything done. Well, I disagree. I've brought in anywhere from $500,000 to $1 million of funding for local libraries, school funding. Greene County, we brought in funding for the county office building to make it accessible to folks who are vulnerable, who are handicapped, that it wasn't done when the building was originally done. I was able to secure money for the throughway exit in Catskill for the project for Greene County, Sharon Springs School, Catskill School, Cobuskill Library, lots of different things. And when people say that, well, you're not in the majority. Well, if you look, I did a little bit of research because I like to prove people wrong. The only people in the state assembly that get record amounts of funding are people that have been there 14 years or more. For the most part, funding is handed out bipartisanly to all the members. This year, I was able to secure $100,000. We're going to be working with the Central Bridge Fire Department in Schoharie County. Their firehouse is a safety hazard. These volunteers, it's unsafe for them to even go in the firehouse during a call. So it's not a lot. Their project's probably going to be about $3 million. We're only able to deliver $100,000, but at least I can say I did my part. Schoharie School, we were just able to secure $25,000 on their new building project to go towards the library for students. So, I've been able to do just as far as the funding end goes. I think I've been able to do just as much as most any other member, and I've tried to put it where I think it counts most. So, I think those are some of the accomplishments. And on the legislative end, I've gotten a couple bills passed, which is not really heard of when you're in the minority party. But here's the other thing. A lot of my bills have been taken over by members of the majority, or parts of my bills, and have been used, especially in agriculture. A lot of this year's budget, we had record funding for agriculture this year in New York State. A lot of the money and a lot of the programs came out of my food insecurity and farm resiliency plan, which I'm very, very proud of. A matter of fact, at one of our last committee meetings before the end of session, the chairwoman asked me if I still wanted to 96 my bill. or 99 my bill. And I said, no, I want to keep it. Well, she says, we've chipped away just about everything out of it. I said, well, I appreciate that, but I want to keep the bill in place because hopefully, you know, even though they used parts of it, the funding levels weren't where I had it in the bill. So hopefully things will get better and they'll use, you know, some of that money. The other thing I think is my constituent service. It's no secret. I don't stay home very much and I don't sleep very much. I try to get to all parts of my district. I support all the local communities. I support all the local organizations, especially our fire and EMS and our veterans. And I said when I went to do this job, you know, a lot of people that are in the Assembly and Senate, it's part-time for them. They have other companies. Well, that was the reason why I retired from my job. I said, I'm going to do this full-time. The people, first of all, it's a huge district. And second of all, this is what the people demand. You know, during COVID, we made thousands of healthcare check calls. We couldn't go anywhere. We couldn't do anything. So we called senior citizens to make sure they had milk, bread, water, make sure they were okay, make sure they didn't have any symptoms, or, you know, if we had to send people in there. We worked with local businesses to help them get funding for the PPE loans. We, you know, we did our jobs, and I'm proud of my staff. These folks work over and beyond. I'm very, very blessed to have the people work with me that I do. And, you know, all the legislation and the politics and everything else is all fine and good, but the truth of the matter is your constituent services is really the most important thing. And that's what we pride on. You know, of course, there'll be somebody that, you know, the volume is so high, sometimes we don't get back to everybody as quick as we should, and we understand it, and we apologize, but constituent services is number one when it comes to our staff, and we try our best to do what we can. Not everybody always likes the answer we give them, but when you're in government, you know, your hands are tied sometimes, but we always try to make an effort to help everybody. And to be quite honest, Melanie, I love this job. I'm going to be quite honest. I really, really love this job. The first time in my life, I accomplished a lot in my other career, but the satisfaction you get when you actually are successful and you've helped somebody, it means the world to you. It makes you want to continue to do it.
Let's talk a little bit about economic growth. And inflation and gas prices are hitting everybody right now. What do you see as potential moving forward that we can do to spur economic growth in a rural district like this?
Well, first of all, we need to embrace agriculture. Agriculture is still the number one economic driver in upstate New York. Milk production and milk sales still top out. Even though we have less farmers, the number of cows just hasn't really changed much. You know, and I'll give you a perfect example. In my home county of Schoharie County, I believe the county budget's somewhere around $70 or $80 million a year. Economically, indirectly, agriculture in Schoharie County is a $50 to $60 million a year business. That's incredible. You know, and the Hudson Valley has really done a great job with their farm to table type stuff. I know it took a little bit of hit during COVID, but their Hudson Valley Fresh, the different restaurants that you have up through the Hudson Valley, they really, really did a great job of getting, you know, natural, local foods from local farms to their restaurants, to their farm stores. And it's a big deal, and it brings tourism in. Agritourism, we haven't done what we could do with it. And I think that's one of the things. And, you know, they wanted to take agritourism, they wanted to take the promotion out of the budget this year. And I pleaded with the chairwoman of the Ag Committee on the majority, because I'm the ranker on the minority side. I pleaded with her, and I pleaded with the Commissioner of Agriculture to please talk to her, that I thought the biggest mistake would be to take that money out. And it wasn't very much. I believe it was around $45,000. It wasn't even that much money. I said, you don't understand. You know, we spend millions of dollars in the suburbs and the city to promote business, But these are the businesses that work here. That's the other thing. You know, too many times in our rural communities, we see people come in, they try to start a business without a real business plan. They don't understand what works. They're trying to reinvent the wheel. We know what works here. Just do a good job at what we know works. And agriculture works in our communities.
Okay, just to switch gears a little bit here,
Sure.
there is a national discussion about abortion and reproductive rights.
Yeah.
And I wanted to see where you stand on that issue and if there's anything that you think the state can or should do with regard to that, with protecting those rights.
Well, you know, I'm pro-life. I was born and raised devout Irish Catholic. However, I don't feel that somebody that's been raped or has went through sexual abuse or incest, I believe they should have the choice between them and their doctor to be able to have an abortion. I also believe that if the mother or the child has a life-threatening situation that between her and the doctor, they should be able to make that choice. I don't believe that anything in New York is ever going to change. Right now, abortion is legal right up to the day of birth. That's not going to change. It's been codified here in New York. All this stuff that's going on and all the discussion politically, people need to understand it is not going to change in New York. However, I do have an issue with late-term abortion. Except for the instances that I just mentioned, I believe that a decision should be made between 15 and 22 weeks. To go on after that, I think is really pushing it. And I think it was mainly done to make a political statement. And listen, as somebody that's pro-life, and by the way, everybody should be pro-life. You can have a difference of opinion with the issue of abortion and how many months, but everybody should care about life. I mean, that's my opinion. You know, I lost my father. He was only 59 years old. I was 32 years old. You know, that loss is big to me. I wished he could have been alive today to see how well I've done, or my brother, or my children. You know, so life is precious. I understand and I respect the difference of opinion that others may have. And again, I'm not a woman. It's very tough to be in a position when you're not a woman and make decisions for other people. But religiously, you know, I live in a household where we're split. My wife and my daughter, and my son for that matter, are pro-choice. I'm pro-life, but I do have stipulations of where I agree that it, you know, that it should be up to the mother and the doctor. And, you know, but again, a lot is being made out of this. I do not support a federal ban on abortion. I think it's nowhere near the business of the federal government to be making those types of decisions for all the states. I actually believe that the Supreme Court got it right. I think them shifting it back to the states made the right decision. And I don't understand why anybody else doesn't see it that way. I mean, New York is a state that has codified abortion. Although I disagree with the late term part of it, it's not going to change here. I have people within my own conference, even they're Republicans. They are pro-choice, completely pro-choice. So it's not going to change here. And to me, right now, with everything else that's going on in our world and our state, it's not the issue that everybody's making it out to be, especially in this state.
Okay, we are running a little low on time, but if
Sure.
we could just talk about broadband for a minute, because there are still sometimes the large pockets of areas in the 102nd Assembly District that still don't have broadband access. Can you just speak to that issue briefly?
Yes, we, as you know, I've been a proponent of it. I felt that Governor Cuomo, when he was in office, was very disingenuous. We fought for funding for all the underserved areas. We continue to do that. And this is a bipartisan issue. I can tell you that now Lieutenant Governor Delgado, when he was congressman, my office and his office worked together tirelessly to make sure that funding came into our area. I'm not sure yet. We had worked with the folks in the town of Durham in some of the areas that were underserved there, hoping that that we would be able to take care of that. But the governor said at the time, the former governor said at the time that only 2% of the state was underserved. And I said, well, that must be my district because I go everywhere. And I'll be honest with you, it's gotten a little bit better, but there's still a lot of places. And it's a safety and security issue. That's what people don't realize. Broadband in today's world is a necessity because people don't have landlines anymore. When you have an emergency and you have to get in your vehicle and you need to drive 3 miles down the road to call 911, that's a serious issue. So we have supported, and again, like I said, it's been bipartisan. Senator Hinchy, myself, Lieutenant Governor, and before that, Congressman Delgado. We had worked together to push. We wrote letters. We've had meetings to push. There is a new federal program coming out that hopefully will get us another $500 million for New York State. And that's the other thing. This also helps locals. We have local telephone communication companies like Midtel, Hancock Telephone, State TV. Those folks hire local people. They're local family-owned companies. You know, last time all of them got a little piece of the pie. We're hoping they'll get more. They're used to doing work in rural New York. And so we're going to keep the fight up. It's important. It's on my list of priorities. I can tell you that.
Okay, we have 2 minutes left. Is there any
Sure.
final message that you'd like to convey to the voters?
Well, I think, first of all, it's been an honor to serve the last 4.5 years. I hope that folks will consider me in this upcoming election. You know, we have a lot of problems that need to be fixed: crime, bail reform, gas prices. I'm very concerned about our senior citizens come this winter, especially those that are on fixed incomes. What's going to be thrown at them? I think we need to slow down a little bit and not let technology go before us, but make sure technology is in place before we make decisions that are going to harm our people. I'm looking forward to Election Day. I'm looking forward, hopefully, to being successful and taking office again on January 1st. Like I said, this has been the biggest honor of my life. And I love this job. And, we're here to help, and looking forward to being the folks in the 102nd Assembly District's Assemblyman for another 2 years.
Great. Thank you so much. Folks, this was Assemblyman Chris Tague. He covers the 102nd Assembly District, and he's seeking re-election. Election Day will be November 8th, and we hope everyone from all sides of the aisle go out and vote. Use your voice and vote. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, folks. Have a great day.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
God bless you. Thank you.